Morning, and thank you for joining us this morning for our City Council work session. We'll go ahead and get started. Ann, would you please call the roll? Changing it up.
Cheatham.
Here.
Lorick.
Here.
Mangum. Nichols.
Here.
Olson.
Here.
Glad.
Here. Thank you. If we move to agenda item number 2 is Sister City Foundation of Pocatello. Members of the Sister City Foundation of Pocatello will be in attendance to discuss the foundation's goals and projects, as well as council's policies and expectations. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Do you want me to say my name and spell it?
Yep, just say it. You don't have to spell it.
Peggy Johnson, Pocatello Sister Cities Foundation. I'm here to report on our sister city, and I'm sure you're aware that Burkina Faso is in turbulence because of the activities that are going on over there right now. They have a lot of Muslim uprisings is what it is. And they're not in the large cities, they're in the outlying areas where Coromandel is located. We currently send money to Terry Noel, who is our contact over there, and he makes sure that it is that the reason we're sending it, that it is serves that purpose. I recently sent them of my own funds some money to help them because of the activities that are going on over there. Many of the people have left the village, and they have come to reside with other people in outlying cities that are from from Coromandel. This has been going on for about 10 years over there, and we are still sponsoring some students. We have one student who has recently graduated from becoming a doctor. She attended the university in Bobodizio, and she is now a doctor. She's served her internship, and this is Terry Noel's daughter. And we had a very wonderful person from Pocatello who had helped to sponsor her over the years. And her name is Carol Nelson. And I have not heard from Carol for a long time, so I have not been able to get a hold of her. But we sure appreciate the fact that she did this, and that she was able to do that and willing to do that. And the schools in Coromandel have been closed because of the disruption over there. And the state, meaning Burkina Faso, pays the teacher's salary and sends them to the different villages. And this was the country was hoping they could get more sister cities for the outlying areas, communities in the area that would help them, because they saw the great benefit of having this sister city for these villages that help them with their education, their medical needs, and all the other things that we've helped them with. We have raised thousands upon thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars for projects over there. And currently now they are going to anywhere they can go, which is mostly to Tugun, which is the closest city to Quirmangal. And that gets them out of the reach of those who would do harm to them. In fact, 3 weeks ago, Noel called me on a Sunday, and he was very upset because, well, I'll read what he wrote here. For nearly 10 years now, our country has been experiencing one of the true crucial situations in its life. Terrorist actions, which started in the northern part of the country, spread to cover almost all parts of the country. That has seriously impacted the lives of the people, compromising the survival of the country. Indeed, schools, health centers, and other socio-economic infrastructures have been closed or simply destroyed. Hundreds of people are daily being shot or slaughtered like goats if they dare to go in some parts of the country. It is therefore in such context that the 3 primary schools and the secondary school of the village have closed since 2020. Most of them found refuge in Tugun, and others managed to go into other towns. We are thankful for Pocatelloans for their support and foodstuffs to these children. We are also thankful for your understanding, which has permitted the use money, which has been given for intentions of other purposes, seeing the fact that the dispensary had been totally closed in view of the fact that many kids who found refuge in Tugun can hardly have something to eat. We have been allowed, after explanations, to use part of the money given by Dana Olson to support those kids and also contribute to the acquisition of land. So they are trying to set up an area in Tugun so these kids can still go to school, still get their education. And he goes on to say, the situation described above has completely compromised many things for the village. This year particularly, the village is invaded by people who flee terrorism and come in the village to occupy farming lands, preventing many people from cultivating. Added to that, the fact that all infrastructures have been closed and the hard rules of terrorists make that many villagers seek to immigrate. The majority of the young have already moved. All this causes a serious problem for the future of the village and the present life of people. It is in view to anticipate on the issues related particularly to kids in Tugun that the village has struggled to acquire a piece of land in Tugun, the closest town from the village, where we have many kids from the village. The aim was to establish in the long run an education center where kids can have housing and classrooms to study. Unfortunately, things do not seem easy, and up to now, we have not yet been able to fix a brick because of our situation. We cannot afford the cost of building. What is worse is that we may lose the land because there is much pressure on land resources. If within a certain limit of time, we still cannot afford to establish something, authorities may withdraw it at the benefits of others. So that's the situation they're in now. And so as a committee, our view on this problem is that most of the people have arrived in Tugun, and they are trying to establish a place for those people to be, that they can live there, and that their children can have at least a mouthful of food. And that they can have their education. They have established a small building that holds a computer and a desk and a printer so that some of the children can go there to look up information, to write papers that they need to write for schooling. And that they can continue their education. He also wrote in here earlier in there that now of all the children that have been educated, that the money that has been sent has been for schooling, was used for schooling, and that those who have gone through have either graduated with a degree, such as the girl that's become the doctor, or else they have become, I guess you could say, they have a, oh, I wish I could find that place. Anyway, so those who have become successful after they've completed their college or training it, civil servants, thank you. It is good to let you know that from the beginning of the sponsorship, meaning the sponsorship of the students to go to school, to a certain period, many among those who benefited from it are working now as civil servants in various domains. They return support to their families and siblings, and all are grateful and thankful for all of that. So that means that they are giving back, and they are helping to continue that road of education that we helped establish there. And they are helping their siblings and their other extended family members to go to school and also to support their needs. But now in Tugen, part of the problem is there are so many people who are coming, and they come to get medical attention for whatever reason that it may be, from the usual, like we have heart problems, diabetes, or other things, because they don't have the dispensary in the village anymore. And so they go to Tugen, where Noel is. And so he asked me if I could send him some more money, which I did. And this is to help to buy the food. And the biggest thing is that the children need to have food to eat, because some of them are starving. And so that goes to help with that. But when I talked to Noel about this, I said that he needs to have those people bring what resources they still have in the village that they can bring with them to help pay for this. Because he's a school teacher for high school, and he does not have the funds to support the whole village of 2,000 people. And so we have decided that we will still support the people of this village, because really that's what we were doing. We will support them in not just in food, but also with their needs, and to help them to go to school and to learn and different aspects of their life. And with that in mind, our fundraising for this program has dropped significantly since COVID. At the fundraising events that we attend to help raise funds, and the letters that we've sent out to people who've helped in the past are no longer returning the benefits that we had before. And I think it's a thing throughout this country with COVID, put a damper on everything. And when we have to print flyers to hand out to people, to give them information about what we're doing, what we've done, and to help in that way to raise funds or to mail things to people. We have to use our personal funds to do that, which I don't mind doing it. I have probably donated more to this cause than anybody, and paid for more things than not. But I am just asking for a little bit of help from this city council and the mayor to help with some of that we can do. That, that so that we can get postage and buy office supplies and do printing and different things like that. I know that the sister cities, when I first became part of it with the Japanese committee, they had a budget of $8,000. And then shortly after we took on the African sister city, it was cut to, I think, $4,000 or $5,000. And then it was cut that we got $2,500, and we split that between the two committees. Now we get nothing. I mean, I don't even think you guys bring up that we even exist to anybody that you talk to. And you have to be a part of this because you already are. Because this is the Pocatello Sister City, Africa. And we need your help to make this happen more. And we did team up with the United
Way?
No, I can't even remember the name. The church that has the big fundraiser they do. We teamed up with them last year, and we made some pretty good money with that. But we helped Star to reach out to people to help their programs as well. And it was a great event. And we really didn't have a large showing on that even. So, I know that maybe your thinking is that, well, you've got all this other stuff and the people have left the village. Well, it's sister cities, but it's really the people. This is a people-to-people organization. And if we can just get a little help from you guys in speaking about this when you go to different meetings or with other people or whatever, just say, hey, we've got this sister city here. I know that the Japanese sister city hasn't really done anything since COVID either, so maybe, that would be a big help anyway to us. But, we're not going to cut and run and just throw them to the lions because of the condition in the country. We are committed to the group of people from Quermengal and to continue to help them. In the past, like I said, we had the support of the mayors and the city council members, and we have not had it for a long time here. And we have had a lot of success in helping them to grow and to enrich the lives of the people in the country as well as themselves. anyway, that I guess I'm not going to continue to tell you what we need for this committee to continue, but it will continue anyway. And I guess I'll take any questions that you have.
Okay, super. Council, yes, Councilmember Nichols.
How much money does your organization need?
Well, I think if we could get probably $800 a year, we could manage to take care of this other stuff and then keep all the fundraising money for what it should go to.
All right. And on the ground, what is the biggest challenge? And if people wanted to help donate, who would they contact? How would they go
They would
about doing it?
contact me because I'm the treasurer, and then I'm also the one who sends the money over to.
Right, but for the benefit of people, say, listening now, how would they get a hold of you?
They could call me at 208-241-8200, and my name is Peggy Johnson.
All right, great. Thank you.
Okay, Council President Lurick.
This is more a question maybe for you, Mr. Mayor, but I remember quite a while back, didn't we make some changes to the structure of the sister cities?
So quite a while back, a number of years ago, we we had to decide what direction we were going, and we had the two different sister cities. They wanted to do their own thing, and so they have set up the Sister City Foundation. Yeah.
We already had the foundation.
Oh, that's right. They had the foundation. The Japanese sister city wanted to separate from the foundation, and so they did. At that point, they have an opportunity to come in and talk to us during the budget season to keep the funding that we had been giving, and so I'll have finance send a thing to Peggy so that they can also get in that funding if they would like to do that.
Okay,
So,
I have a question.
I'm
Yes.
to remember.
Councilmember Paulson.
How do you get the money there? Do you have to sneak the cash in? Do you wire
No,
it?
we wire it.
Okay.
We wire it directly to Terry Noel, and he has to pick it up, and because they say their last name first, we've kind of come into some problems because on the wires that has to have the first name first and the last name last, and so we've had to change things so that they can get that money, but that's the only problem we've ever had.
Good. Okay. Peggy, thank you very much.
You bet. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, we will move on to agenda item number 3 is Bannock Development Corporation. Representatives from the Bannock Development Corporation, BDC, will be present to give council an update of BDC's activities and achievements.
Thank you, Council, Mayor and Council. Mia Kate Kennedy, the first CEO for Bannock Development Corporation. Good to see you guys. I'm just going to give you a brief update of what we've been doing, and if you have questions, great, I'd be glad to take them. First off, we are finally rolling out the regional marketing. We have everything in place. We've had 3 stakeholder meetings. We all seem to be on the same page. We have a logo that's rolling out with a, not really a slogan, but the tagline on it is the gateway to adventure and opportunity. Adventure really resonates with the travel and the different cultural things that we have, as well as recreation and others. So it was well received. And then opportunity, of course, for jobs and creating a marketplace for recruitment. So I'm excited for that. We need that in our toolkit to sell in recruiting and getting businesses. We interviewed over 40 businesses over the last year to ask them if they would like to come here, and if they did not, what were the top reasons. And we have a list of those reasons, and some of those were just a miscommunication of who we are and what we have to offer in a regional sense. So we've known this for a long time now. This study's been going on for well over 18 months. And I think the stakeholders are very engaged. I felt really positive with all the parties involved that we will roll this out and we will start to talk about ourselves and advertise in a more collaborative way. So it's exciting, and that's a good project for us. It's a lot of time working on that in the last few months. We're also obviously working on the CREST project. So CREST, convention, recreation, entertainment, sports, and travel. That's out at the airport, big project for us. CREST is moving along great. All the processes are in place. So we're currently working on the feasibility study, which we will have back very shortly. We're in the process of paying for that study, and then we will have it. After we get that study back, we will put together what's called a sell book. And that sell book is obviously real estate jargon for being able to sell the project and how that could be potentially financed in different areas of the project. So when you're dealing with big development projects, there's many areas of funding and different ways to put that together. There's a TIF out there, and obviously we have Power County, FAA, and other things out in the property. So we're working with all of those resources to pull that together. Once we have the sell book, we have several investors that we will go to, and we have a list of different investors in different parts of that project. So good news all around, keeping us very busy. As well, we've been, like I mentioned, recruiting. We have the opportunity to hire a expert in meetings with potential businesses. We've chosen to save our money and try and work on more projects because that recruitment process, travel, and all of that adds up to a huge part of our budget. So in order to do more recruiting, we need more money because it's just a matter of economics. I currently did not go to any of our conferences last year to save money for, but those are important for us to attend because it gets our name out there, and I do sit on several of the higher boards, and so I think they do expect me, to attend those. Especially probably next year, I will try to actually sit on the national board, which is really important for us. It gives you a lot of longevity as far as being seen for the site selectors and also just businesses that may want to come. On that note, in order to also work with our bandwidth at Bannock Development, we are working on a project with INL. It's a feasibility study for the mini reactors, and if you're not familiar with that, I won't get into that now, but we do have that information in-house if you would like to visit with me. It's a really prestigious and ambitious feasibility study, and I'm excited to be a part of it. What does that do for us? It allows us to go through the feasibility and hopefully go on to a list of cities that qualify for many of those nuclear energy projects. So we'd automatically be on the list, and it would save me a lot of foot power in recruiting. So to recruit about every business costs over $35,000, and all the travel and everything we do. And some of our projects like Crest and other ones are quite expensive as far as that goes. This automatically puts us on a list, so they'd be calling us. We don't necessarily have to pound the pavement for that. It's a really incredible study, and I will bring results to you when I get those. I'm excited. We are one of 3 areas that are doing it, and they told us that they thought we would be the fastest, so that's great. I guess they feel comfortable working with us, so I'm excited about that. So those are kind of a top list of what we're doing.
Super. Questions, council? Questions? I'm pretty excited about this feasibility study for the CREST project and being able to actually get that moving. That'll be That'll be a good thing. I think that'll help our airport a lot, so
Yeah,
that's good. And then, like you just said, that INL deal will be nice too, so great work.
things are going good.
Super.
Busy.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
we can meet with you to get more information
On the
INL?
INL? Yeah, for sure. It's a great thing. It's a little complicated, but if you come over, I'd love to spend time because it's really great for us to do it.
Set
hear
an
more
hour,
about
set an
that.
hour or two aside to.
Yeah,
to learn about
it's
it, though, because
complex
it's-
because we're sort of the rollout with 2 other areas. But it really puts us in the eye for those projects ahead of time and even now. So for recruitment, it would be all 3 coming into us where I'm not pounding the pavement for those projects. Different vendors, not necessarily the reactor. Different, like there's fabricators and engineers and professional services and all of those that are related to that.
Okay.
So yeah, definitely, I'd love to chat about it. It's great.
Thank you.
Okay. See no other questions. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you for your support.
Absolutely. Okay, agenda item, we'll move to agenda item 4, South Fifth Avenue wide plan update.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I have a feeling this is going to be a long discussion. May we take a 10-minute break before we get into
Brent
this?
doesn't like to talk and so it's
There's
all
a
up
lot
to
to
Jen.
talk
I mean,
about in this.
Jen's a talker. Okay, we're gonna take a, Jen is not a talker. We're gonna take a break for a few minutes and then we'll be back to this.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you for joining us this morning after our break. We'll go ahead and get started with agenda item number 4, South Fifth Avenue area-wide plan update. Planning and development staff members will be in attendance to present South Fifth Avenue area-wide plan draft as prepared by Stantec. The plan outlines development of the revitalization plan for the South Fifth Avenue corridor and was funded through the Brownfields grant funding. Staff is available to receive feedback from the council regarding the initial plan. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Mayor and Council. My name's Jennifer Flynn, and I'm the Assistant Planner in the Planning Department. As the Mayor mentioned, we're here to give you an overview of the South Fifth area-wide plan that's been developed by Stantec through our Brownfields funding. So we're going to go over just a little bit about Brownfields to remind folks what they are, let you know about community priorities that were developed based on survey, group meetings with both staff and the community, and then discuss kind of the contents of the plan that was submitted along with this agenda item. And then, talk about any questions, ideas, things that you'd like mentioned in the plan and the way forward. So just as a brief reminder on brownfields, the official definition of brownfields is up here, but really, as I'm the project manager for the brownfields program, we look at brownfields, targeting potential brownfields as any commercial development that needs improvements or is underutilized. And so, at a later date, I can give you an overview of the brownfields that we have explored under this program, and we've been able to do assessments on them, and we've also done a few plans for various properties.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
can I ask a
Yeah, Council President.
quick question
Sure.
on that grant? Has that one suffered any?
Brett McLean, Planning Director. So that grant is in full force. We have no issues with that one.
Okay.
And our contact with the EPA just mentioned that that wasn't one that would be targeted as being, the funding being reduced. So this isn't a part of the presentation, but we have about a year and a half left with our brownfields funding. And so we hope to be able to utilize all of that funding within the next year and a half.
Thank you.
Yep. So just in general, kind of the process that we go through with brownfields, we'll say that a commercial property owner comes to us and says, hey, I'm looking to sell the property soon, or I'd like to acquire a certain property, and we'd like to go through a brownfield assessment. So we start with a phase 1 environmental site assessment. Really, that's kind of a in-depth research analysis of what the history has been of that property, how it's been used in the past. If it's deemed necessary, they move on to the phase 2, where they do a regulated building materials survey, meaning they take soil samples, perhaps paint samples, things like that, and they determine if any remediation is needed. The next step would be cleanup, developing a cleanup plan. And our funding from the EPA stops at the phase 2. We can't fund any type of physical cleanup, but CCOG, the Southeast Idaho Council of Governments, has an RLF fund, revolving loan fund, that can offer, affordable funding for cleanup, if a property owner happens to need that. Then, the reports come from the EPA. Based on those reports, just noting what's needed in the future, and the property owner can take that action based on what's in those reports. As an overview, with our Brownfields grant, the city received $500,000 from the EPA back in '23, I believe. And like I said, that runs through September of '26. I think we've spent about half of that amount of money. And, some of the terms and purposes of the money are listed up here, and what I've already touched on. So to get to the study area, as a part of Brownfields, the purpose of this money is to redevelop underutilized areas of cities. And so we thought there was high potential and a need to do a study on the South Fifth Area Corridor. And you might notice I printed out a map for you guys just as your convenience, so that you can easily see kind of the parameters of this study area. And this is the area that we focused on in the plan, to understand what's there now, potential brownfield sites, and also what could be done to just catalyze growth and improvement in that area. So just to let you know, the process that we went through with the area-wide plan, we did a community pop-up event at the environmental fair last year. We initiated a community survey where community members could participate in giving input on what they'd like to see in this area, strengths and weaknesses, things like that. We created a fantastic working group composed of community members, business owners, government entities, really anybody that we thought had investment in the area. And I have a list of that group on the next slide. So we've had 2 working group meetings, and also had multiple meetings with various staff members, primarily from parks, streets. We've worked with ITD, as well as engineering and the planners, just to determine, what kind of vision can we build for this area that we'll all find in common. Right now, we're at the spot where we have, I would call this a draft plan, but it's on the verge of being final, pending you guys' input and approval. And then, when we're ready to, we'd like to have this plan formally adopted by City Council for the future use. Just to highlight some of our community stakeholders, we had real estate representatives, business owners, residents. We had a member from the mosque, which is located down in that corridor, and then also folks from NeighborWorks. And as I mentioned, ISU was also involved, as well as ITD, and then city folks. So today's goals are just to give you an overview of the plan that you have at your fingertips, and then talk about anything you'd like incorporated before we bring this to council for final adoption. So just as a kind of disclaimer here, just want to mention that, this plan is aspirational, and it's really a vision. just because something's in this plan doesn't mean it's going to happen. Just because something's not in the plan, it doesn't mean it's not going to happen. We're really trying to create a roadmap or a vision for potential in this area. And so when developers come into the area, or the city would like to do something down there, or ISU, or public-private partnerships, we have ideas at our fingertips to be able to provide them. So in the building of this plan, we referred to multiple other plans, and here's just a list of those, absolutely highlighted by the master plan that ISU is coming out with, or might have already published. I'm not sure where they're at with that. And then the comprehensive plan, as well as, in particular, the Terry First plan was really useful so that we could collaborate on what was going on in kind of an adjacent area and development we have planned for that, as well as that Reconnecting Communities grant that's going to help see that Terry First plan to fruition. So out of the survey, as well as all of the staff conversations and community conversations, we came up with 5 priorities. And those priorities focus around pedestrian and bicycle infrastructure, enhancing our community appearance, diversifying housing opportunities within this area, creating streets that feel safe at various times of the day and for different modalities, and increased opportunities to recreate and gather in spaces that are offered to the community. So in this area, and these slides get a little bit detailed. They're kind of hard to see up on the big screen, but really I just want to give you an overview that of the ideas that have been projected in this plan. And so this is along that South Fifth Corridor, and really ideas to revitalize the area have to do with encouraging mixed use zones down in that ISU area, but that are offered to both students and non-students and the community at large, as well as increasing student housing and senior housing. And mixed use is also an important part of this plan, which just focuses on mixing commercial use and housing opportunities. So for vacant land, they're suggesting, again, just housing for the community that's kind of a variety of multifamily housing that will offer more housing opportunities as well as recreation. Brent, if there's anything you want to pop in here with, let me know. Some of the policies that we could use to revitalize the area are more government tools and things that we would want to focus on within our code. And that has to do with utilizing bids, lids, or TIFs. And then focusing on code changes to allow multifamily housing in the CG area, which is actually a code or a change that we just recently made in Title 17. To promote the attached single family or missing middle townhomes, duplexes, and similar. A lot of the housing shortage has to do with there not being enough housing availability at different price points. And so just really encouraging townhomes, duplexes, things like that, versus just the single family home. Did you have a question?
I was just going to ask for our audience that might be listening if we could say what bids, lids, and TIFs are.
Sure, and Brent can speak to this more intelligently than I can, but a bid is a business improvement district, a lid is a local improvement district, and a TIF is a tax incremental financing district.
Yeah, so
Thanks.
the
Sorry, Brent, who are you?
I already introduced myself.
No, you didn't. Jen did, but you didn't.
Brett McLean, Planning Development Services Director.
It's good to meet you.
Good to meet you, Mayor. So the BIDs, the business improvement districts and the local improvement districts, those are voted on buy those properties. Typically, they is an extra tax assessment that those regions or those localities are assessed to pay for improvements that they vote on. The tax increment finance is a increment-based funding source for public improvements that creates a base tax, and then any additional tax based that's increased based off of improvements then goes into reimbursable financing for local improvements. And so, but those are some of our only tools we have in the state of Idaho to use for redevelopment potential in our existing communities. So.
Thank you.
I would also, go ahead.
Brent and or Councilmember Nichols, and then Councilmember Cheatham.
So what do we have for BIDs and LIDs in Pocatello? I mean, we have one downtown, right? That's a BID.
Yeah, there's a BID downtown. I'm not aware of any other BIDs in town. LIDs, I'm not aware of any LIDs in town either. Currently we have 4 TIF districts in the city limits. So.
Great, thank you.
Well, the other possibility would be a CID also. Would that apply in this area of possible use?
It potentially could, yeah. You could potentially use a CID as well. We can look into that, Rick. Absolutely.
I would just offer that local improvement districts are a very effective way of doing city infrastructure, such as sidewalks in particular. I've done a lot of research with the city of Rexburg and other regional communities that have used LIDs very effectively as a way to improve sidewalks.
The LID thing came up at a conversation I had a few weeks ago with some people, and I did a little research, and the city of Caldwell actually has on their page for the city a form you can fill out and ask for an LID to be implemented, which I found absolutely fascinating that they offer that. It doesn't look like they've used it much, but it's there as a potential tool for citizens to suggest the use of an LID.
Yeah. I think they have to either be suggested or recommended by 60% of the population within that LID or city council. We'll keep moving. Thanks for all the questions. The other item they just, that they touch on as far as recommendations have to do with parking. And really, public parking is to create parking districts. And then private parking or more individual parking has to do with reducing requirements for parking just so housing can be more easily implementable without having to reserve that space for parking. And that would mean more parking on streets. Sorry about that. So we'll move on to the second part that we found as being very important to the community as movement. And this one is titled Enhanced Mobility. Really, it focuses on encouraging pedestrian safe zones in certain areas along this corridor, encouraging curb cuts and resizing them, and pedestrian in controlled intersections, really just making that South Fifth corridor a little safer with hawk notices. Also, something really fun that we did as kind of staff along with the consultants is we took a bike tour of the area, and it's awakening to understand, what it takes to get from City Hall down to, we'll just say, the cemetery on a bike, and primarily utilizing the road. There's a suggestion here under biking to create multi-use paths at the cemetery. And, we see the cemetery used so frequently for walkers themselves, but just encouraging that the city might go a little further and create multimodal paths just to the west of the cemetery to create more space for bikers, joggers, walkers, anybody that's not in a vehicle. I'm sorry.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
That would be east of Fifth Street, but west of the cemetery?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
This
Exactly.
next image will give you a good
Yep.
direction.
The other thing I just want to mention that they highlight for us is creating bike lanes on some of the less used roads. I don't have a better word for it, but instead of a bike lane running down Fifth Street, run the bike lane down Second Street, because bikers are safer, and we can also create paths that will connect to, say, the Benton Overpass, something like that, just to make bikers feel safer, encourage riding bikes around town, but also free up those major roads so that cars aren't competing with the bikes. So Rick, this might get to kind of the question that you were asking. This is the setup and line out that is being recommended. We did work with both our streets department and ITD because, as you're probably aware, ITD owns South Fifth Avenue, but the city of Pocatello does a lot of work in maintaining it. And so we worked with both of those entities just to talk about widths of lanes as well as multimodal paths or sidewalks. And I think we came to a nice agreement on providing enough space for parking, for cars to move along the road, but also to provide space for landscaping and sidewalks, as well as those bike paths. And just to mention, you know, all of these charts and graphics are in the report that you have. I just created a slideshow so that it was a little easier for us to run through the highlights. Just to highlight her recommendations that were provided for the movement and enhanced mobility, it's to require sidewalks on South Fifth Avenue property redevelopment. So whenever somebody comes in to improve a property, them adding sidewalks onto their property would be a requirement for that development. Bicycle wayfinding signage for trails and lanes, citywide bicycle lanes, and greenway plan update. Okay, on to the third section, that's aesthetics, amenities, and public spaces. Really, a lot of what is recommended here has to do with along Terry Street. And a fun idea was suggested of a closable festival block. And really, this idea could be applied to anywhere. It doesn't have to be on Terry Street. But just in having discussions with staff, we thought that Terry was a nice area that's accessible from ISU and kind of also from that warehouse district. And this would just be an area where you can, you know, put up blockers or something like that and close the road temporarily, but also have it reopened for, you know, regular traffic. And we think this would be a big attractor to both residents and businesses to be able to encourage people to come down into that area and make it more walkable. We did explore pocket parks in the area and also have some fun ideas for Brady Chapel access that would make it a little more accessible, both for ADA, but also for renting that chapel for, you know, events in the future. So here are a couple of recommendations that they had for the Brady Chapel. Again, this would be bringing the Brady Chapel up to ADA compliance. And, you know, this is such a cute amenity in our community and that is underutilized right now. And so you can see the two options with a plinth with open space, which really just kind of brings a platform up to the level of the church or the chapel. And then also down below, you can see an option with a plaza and a garden that would create more outdoor space with the Brady Chapel. And again, these are ideas, you know, there's no funding in place or no decisions being made as far as what should happen, really just vision for the future. We have a little park called Bremer Park. And, just through observation, we feel like it's underutilized and could use some updating. And so there are a couple of suggestions of different play structures that could be added that would encourage both sitting, just community members having nice space outside to enjoy, but also for kids to have some fun on the playground.
Where is that? I'm not familiar with that. park.
Yeah.
Go back to you can see it on your aerial.
Okay.
Can we?
It's down a little further south.
It's in the Crescent area, so, you can't see very well on there. Go back to I think this slide showed it a little bit better.
Let me see here. Which one? This one?
Right there.
Oh, yeah, so,
You see the curved roads kind of right in the middle of that area?
Yeah.
It's right at the
looks
at
like
the
it's,
center of that curve.
What are the cross streets?
I'll send it to you.
It's
I can't
Crescent
see that.
and Third.
Thanks, Sam.
Yeah.
Okay.
Down by Stansberry?
Yeah. And I might add on these parks, one of the things that we talked about with the consultant and the parks director was how to make the maintenance of these better. We talked about pocket parks and the burden that pocket parks have placed on the Parks Department to maintain them. And the thing we talked about was increasing the level of hardscape in these parks and having less maintenance relating to grass and plantings, especially with pocket parks. Most pocket parks, the purpose of them is just a place for someone to get out in nature and someone to just sit and enjoy a little peace and quiet, maybe have a small playground. But there's no need for those to be grassed parks. That if we have some thoughtful design in our parks, especially these smaller ones, they can serve their purpose without having them be a maintenance issue for the Parks Department. Same with Bremer Park. One of the things that was brought up is it's in an area where there's a lot of single adults, a lot of students, but there's also a playground right in the middle, and the only seating in that park is around the playground. And how awkward is that for these single adults to sit in front of a playground while the kids are playing? And so there's a lot of conflicts of use that with thoughtful design, if we can make a play area that's maybe off to the side and a sitting area that's separate, that you can have dual use of these parks and make them more usable for the residents in the area. And being very thoughtful as we move forward with our parks about the design of them. And they don't all have to have grass everywhere. And using hardscape is a great way to not only reduce the amount of maintenance on our parks, but also reduce the water usage on our parks. And so I think we, moving forward, can do more in the design elements of our park system.
So policy recommendations were to require public open space with new multifamily developments, incentivize non-paid third space with new multifamily development. And really the non-paid third space is really kind of what Brent was just mentioning, where there's opportunity to go out to a certain area and have a kind of a reason to go there and sit, in the shade, have coffee, meet with friends, play chess, whatever it is that you want to do outdoors, but a place where you don't necessarily have to pay to be there.
And to add to that, it doesn't have to necessarily be outdoors either. It could be maybe a indoor cafe or indoor plaza space that in the winter months students could go to and sit and do homework or have coffee or just mingle. And these don't have to be public spaces in that the public owns them, but they're open to the public. Spaces that might be privately owned, but they open it to the public for public use.
Another suggestion is, like Brent kind of mentioned, water-wise landscape programs, just to be smart with water, and updating our greenway plan. She also encouraged us to enforce some of the screening requirements for outdoor storage. Okay, on to activate, and that's about marketing and branding. Really, this conversation focused around kind of activating our neighborhood associations and helping them to build their own identity. So just for an example, if a certain community wants to have an Italian festival once a year, and so that would maybe, you know, be what they take on, and they create this kind of an identity where they have an annual event, and it's something that's an attraction for the community at large, but also gives the community an identity of what they're proud of and things that would draw others to that area. Was her idea as far as building investment from the locals in that area. And in particular, I think I've highlighted all the things that are on this list. And what she mentioned is to identify a group within the community to champion these types of events. And we've started with our neighborhood associations. I don't know that the one in this area is very active, but perhaps reactivating that.
What are the rough geography of that Mountain View Association? Is it west of Fifth Street? Is that what separates it from the college?
It's west of Fifth, and I don't know that it goes clear to Terry Street. It might. I'd have to look at it to be exactly sure, but it's
Me too.
essentially this entire area. It doesn't go as far south as what the study area covered. I think it ends about where the apartments, like
Bengal,
Bengal
Go Creek.
Creek.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bengal Creek Apartments. I think that's about where it ends. But it's in the heart of this whole study area, and that Mountain View Neighborhood Association. Our neighborhood associations have great potential to really do something amazing in our communities if we can, but it's hard because it has to be from them, and we have to have the buy-in from them. And so getting those champions in those neighborhoods is the key.
I think that one would be particularly hard because of the high percentage of renters in that neighborhood. And I don't think they necessarily have the buy-in that
Yeah.
property owners have.
There's getting to be there are a lot of property owners still in that area, especially around the Bremer Park area. And that's kind of the heart of the neighborhood association. And there are some new townhouses being developed off Second Street. But I think we're seeing some increased ownership, but there's also a lot of rentals as well.
Council President?
just curious, in that neighborhood association, the Mountain View, there's a few houses beyond, like on the way to Ross Park, you know, just going down that way, down Second.
Yeah,
Would those be included?
I
or
would imagine they would be. I don't know I don't have the exact boundaries in my head of where that is, but
There is still
don't
quite a
think-
bit of housing.
there is down around Ross Park.
Yeah.
There are a number of houses down through there too.
And all Second, lots of little houses that are owned, but it does have massive student apartment complexes right in the middle.
Other questions, council? Okay,
Thank you for your time today.
thank you. Appreciate it.
Mr. Mayor, may I make a comment?
Yeah.
When I read this, the second time, not the first, the second time, this is probably the best study I've seen produced by a consultant in the 8 years I've been on this council. I was very impressed. by what's proposed here. I don't necessarily disagree with the timeline and some of the things, but the thought and the concepts that are being presented for future development and guidance in how we develop is, to me, South Fifth and even further south, that's the next place for Pocatello to go. It's got so much potential, and it's been ignored for so many years. I really thought this was well done. So thank you.
Thank you.
No,
Yeah,
thank
we
you.
do too.
We'll pass that message on.
Great job. Okay, I've got
I
a question by
do have
Council
a-
President Lyric and then a question by Councilmember Paulson.
Sort of an overall question I wanted to ask, and I agree with Rick. I think this is amazing. Very good work. My question was about the working group. Just a little bit more about who all participated in that, what, and how they were chosen, or...
So we just kind of surveyed businesses in the area and then also entities. And then I just started cold calling people, just reaching out, seeing if they would want to participate in a working group. So I have a list, and it's also in the report, I think maybe on page 2.
Yeah.
But just a nice culmination of, let's see, it was Ruby Walsh. I mean, I don't want to try to
Right,
name
right.
everybody out, but
No, I was just-
realtors, business owners, the mosque, Idaho State University, just residents of the area. And so it was good conversation.
Good. I like that people were willing to participate in that, and that, you know, excuse me, it led to something like this, but, excuse me, I think it's, I just wanted to hear a little bit more about how that was determined. Thank you.
Yep. you're
Thank you, Councilmember Paulson.
Okay, I don't see a definition in the 83 pages, but what's a flip bike lane versus a bike lane?
I think it's talking about flipping the bike lane.
Oh, yes. So that was an idea that I hadn't been exposed to before, but basically the idea is that cars are parked closer to where the cars travel. And then the bike lane is on the inside of that parking lane, just to give bikers a little more protection from the moving vehicles.
It's kind of a new train of thought with bike lanes. It also helps reduce the car door opening into the bike lane and some of the accidents that happen related to that. It does provide that buffer for those bicyclists to have that car between the travel lane and the bike lane too, which makes sense in lots of ways, so.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Councilmember Cheatham.
You know, there are some places in Boise I've seen where they're doing that. And it's very odd to drive down a street and see that broad white stripe and this space 3 or 4 or 5 feet wide. I'm curious, there was a bill proposed in the legislature this last year that would prohibit the transportation department and any transportation department grants from being used for bicycles. And I know it passed the House. I don't know if it got through the Senate or if it's been enacted, but is that possibly a problem for implementing these kind of programs?
Absolutely, if we're using federal funding especially, or state funding, and if I remember the bill correctly, it really specified narrowing travel lanes to create bike lanes, which if you have really wide travel lanes, you should be able to narrow them to what you need and provide those bike lanes. And so there's, I can't remember where that landed either,
I'll look into it.
if it actually went through.
There's actually 2 bills, and they did both pass.
They
Yeah,
both
that's what I
passed.
thought.
Yeah. Yeah,
I had some debate with the chairman of the transportation
Yeah.
committee over that.
I think there's a lot of problems with those bills that could create issues for cities and anyone trying to create bike lanes, which,
Those bills were aimed at the city of Boise,
oh, I know.
out of a feeling by certain members of the legislature that the city of Boise is trying to eliminate downtown automobile traffic. And so it affects us all. Can I ask a couple of other questions, Mr. Mayor? Explain to me a Dutch intersection. I saw that in here when I was reading this, and I saw the picture, and I don't understand what that's about.
Let me just get familiar with
Is
that
it
again.
similar to a roundabout?
No, it looked like a corner that's got paint out on it, and I don't understand what it's about, or
I'm sorry.
or
I'm not
something in the demo project and in the Terry Street
15.
project.
Oh, it's so you can cut corners when you're walking. It's to make the pedestrian travel faster to get kitty corner. So you don't have to go perpendicular to across one road and then perpendicular across the other. You actually can almost jaywalk across the corner.
So it's just painted. It's not
just
any kind of
painted.
hard structure.
Yeah, it's not hard structure. It's just paint and allowing, similar to the closest thing I could think of is in Ketchum. They do that where they actually will put in a pedestrian-only crossing, and you can cross diagonally across the intersection rather than having to go the long way around. You can go straight diagonally across the intersection.
And that's on a street that has cars on it.
And it's on the street that, and it just shuts, it's a pedestrian-only signal on the intersection.
So it's four-way stop then?
The four-way stop, and
For
they
the pedestrians.
stop all cars and let just pedestrians go. And it works where there's a high pedestrian activity. And it's not necessary if you don't have that high pedestrian activity. So we just you have to do that analysis and see if it's worth it or not on some of those. And it's about pedestrian safety, because then no cars are traveling, but they also can get where they need to go quickly, and it will speed up the traffic flows.
So is it a dig at Dutch people or saying we're really smart?
They're really smart, so just let them
Okay.
do it.
Yeah, we're really
I'm
smart.
gonna take it that way. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very
Thanks.
much. And council, we will move to agenda item 5, is it? My battery just died, and that is council reports on your, I can't read it. So it's a report on our advisory boards, thank you. So why don't I go first, because I always pass that on to everybody else. The Mayor's Youth Advisory Council, we've got 2 more meetings the rest of this year. The last meeting, if you would love to join us, it would be great for you to join us. We will be cleaning the City Creek Trail. And so we'll start up at the top of City Creek Road and we go about a mile up the road-ish and then come back down over by the water tank. So that would be great. We had an essential needs drive, as you know. That was a huge success. And I would like to give a big shout out to Councilmember Nichols for borrowing us his pickup truck so we could haul stuff back and forth. And the success was we had 2 pickups full. One of them we kept at the rec center for the food pantry we have over there, and the other we brought here. And so that was a really nice success for sure after moving it from where it was before, where it was planned at, and then last minute moving it over to the rec center. And then we had a number of the youth, Mayor's Youth Advisory Council that volunteered at the environmental fair, and they just bounced back and forth helping people and doing a number of things. So all in all, a pretty successful year with the Mayor's Youth Advisory Council. So let's jump to, I guess, Hayden?
You've had 2 parks updates, and we'll have a meeting in June, so nothing new there. Childcare's gone. Sika, sorry, 1 second, let me get my notes. 2, well, they might be done now, but 2 more houses are halfway done. 2 more houses are starting. Sika closed on another lot and will close on 2 more by mid-May. The audit was sent to HUD and looks good. The actual audit for SECA is May 19th. LIHEAP, the Energy Efficiency Program, every federal LIHEAP employee was laid off, so that's kind of affecting it in a bad way. Meals on Wheels is not funded by the feds, so looks like that is okay. And let me see. Yeah, that's that for SECA. CDBG, you also had an update at the last work session. Heather Disselkoon is re-elected to be the chair. And on May 20th, it's a Tuesday at 12 p.m., we are going to tour the free clinic. If you would like to meet here at 12 p.m., we'll do their business here, then we'll walk across the lot to the free clinic.
Cool. Okay, thank you. Councilmember Nichols.
All right, I don't have a lot to report. Investment and Audit Committee, maybe Linda, you want to handle that one? Human Relations, I missed that meeting, and the Animal Shelter Advisory Board meeting was canceled due to a lack of a quorum.
Okay.
That's all I have.
And my reports are kind of brief too. Historic Downtown Pocatello, the board was moved, so we would have met this last week, but it got moved to this week, which means I missed it.
You look like you're asking me if that's right. I don't know the answer to that.
I'm
but-
thinking, oh, goodness. I don't think I moved that on my calendar. Anyway, that, the last meeting we had before the regular meeting was the annual meeting. And so that actually was really interesting, and I got the sort of report from Stephanie from the annual meeting, and things are busier than ever and doing very well. There was discussion about Center Street underpass being closed again and how what they were doing in order to kind of offset any impact that could have, negative impact. But most businesses did quite well through that anyway. So, and lots of big plans for the summer. Lookout Point Park is doing extremely well. We did have our investment and audit committee, or audit and investment, I'm never quite sure which order that goes in. That meeting was last week, I think. It's quarterly, so we don't meet as often, but we got a little update on where we're at with the audit, and the deadline for that, for the 24 audit, is June, and we're on track to meet that deadline. There's just a few more things that are being sort of wrapped up and dealt with in the finance department, but they're on track to have that done, which will then make us caught up from where we were with after the difficulties of not having a CFO during certain periods. So we were behind, but we will be all caught up, and that's on track to be on time. So things are good there. We also had a really good discussion, just kind of about economic landscape, looking at the country, nationally, but sort of where we are, where Pocatello is. A good discussion about housing and issues there, just sort of from a economy standpoint. So it was a good discussion. Was there anything else you would, I think those were kind of the main points of the last meeting. Bannock Transportation, we, and both of you can add anything to this, but we did hire a new executive director for Bannock Transportation and Planning Organization. It is Devin Hillam, who was a planner. His immediate past job was City of Chubbuck, and before that, he was with Bannock County. And so he has taken that position and started, and there's an overlap between him and Maury Byington, the outgoing director, so that they can kind of work together and get Devin up to speed. So I think we're all excited about that. We updated our TIP plan, which is Transportation Improvement Program. And we're looking at Pocatello's Highline project and how that might be added if there's funding. Those were kind of the main things. We also did some amendments to our, what I call the UPWUP. I was trying to see what it stands for, Unified Planning Work Program Amendment. In my mind, it's the UPWUP. Those were
That
kind of
was her own definition,
main-
nobody else's.
Yeah. Elected our new officers. Those were kind of the main things that we looked at. We did have a discussion about the two bills that Ann mentioned earlier from the legislature, because they did pass and they are putting kind of restrictions on bike lanes, pedestrian areas, and sort of putting the emphasis on automobile traffic and minimizing, which has been kind of the opposite of what a lot of cities are, kind of prioritizing. We've prioritized, bike ped friendliness, and so has Bannock Transportation. We're not just looking at roads as, or as transportation as just vehicle traffic. We do look at bike ped opportunities and friendliness. So we were just kind of talking about how that legislation will affect things and how we can hopefully continue some of that work. Those were the main things I remember. And then my PDA, we're meeting next week. The last meeting, I was actually not feeling well and not able to go, so I'll let you say maybe what happened at the last one.
There was not a lot at the PDA meeting, really. We talked about the
Wasn't a big
feasibility.
agenda.
No, we talked about the feasibility study at the airport, if I remember right, and for that CREST program and stuff like that. So that was the big items.
Okay. I think that's all of mine.
Okay, Councilmember Cheatham.
I only have a report from the Senior Activity Center. Their meal service to seniors is up dramatically over a year ago. In the month of March, they served 1,211 meals to seniors, to 307 seniors. And that's an increase from a year ago of 1,174 and 276 seniors. They're averaging between 100 and 105 people a day attending that noontime lunch Tuesday through Thursday. The remarkable thing about March was there were actually short 3 serving days from the year before, and they still had that kind of an increase. They've had about 23 new people sign up in the month of March to take advantage of that program. And I'm surprised at what Hayden said. The last meeting, they were planning to take over the Meals on Wheels program from CCOG and be funded through that program. So if there's been a funding problem occur, it may affect what they're planning on doing. But they were planning on serving 70 meals a day to Meals on Wheels. Chartwell's has the current contract, and the Senior Center is going to take that over and start doing that Monday through Thursday. So it'll provide 4-day-a-week service for that. the food over there, they have a new director at the center. Tara Contreras has taken over as the director over there from Anita Valadoid. And there's been a change in the menus. And if you've looked, I looked at the April menu last night. And I think when we get finished today, I'm going over there for lunch. They're serving pork tenderloin, and it sounds like a pretty good lunch today.
She showed
But
that
there's
in-
an emphasis on more protein and less carbs. And they did a survey, and that's what the people are after. They want more protein and less carbs, less dessert, less sugar, and more protein in their meals. They've got some events coming up, the car show, and if you didn't go to that antique car show, that's June 14th. I'll be over there working that for them. It was a tremendous show last year. They had people bring cars up all the way from California to participate in that car show. It runs.
On Main Street?
It's on Union Pacific Avenue.
Okay.
The first parking lot south of UP Avenue there, and there were over 100 cars there last year. Everything from, my favorite was an AMC Javelin, because I used to own one that had the most ornate engraved glass in it I've ever seen. Beautifully done car. All the way back to 20s bucket tees, and if you've got an interest, they had one there. Amazing. They also have a golf tournament coming up September 6th. And last time I was by it, I don't know if it's complete yet, there was new playground equipment going in First Park. And I have got to drive by there today to see how that's going. It's been a while since I've been down there. But it's an engaged group. They're getting a lot done, and they're serving a market that isn't being served anywhere else in our community. They're also have started a Veterans and Coffee monthly event of getting about 30 veterans coming in, and they come in at 10 o'clock in the morning and have coffee and stick around for lunch and use the facility, and it's one of the avenues they're using to grow attendance at the senior center, and it's going very well for them.
Good.
End of report.
Tara presented at our last work
Yeah.
session, and the discussion, what she said about the lunches, the food looked amazing, but also the numbers were
Yeah, they
really
looked good.
impressive, yeah.
Yep.
But I was
Problem is
thinking,
the
go over there
average-
and eat.
The average attendee will donate less than $1
Yeah.
Yeah.
for a meal that costs them over $12 to serve.
Yeah. So. All right, well, council, thank you. Thank you for your work this morning, and with that, we'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting.